Have you ever wondered how far the control over you extends without you even noticing? Perhaps this question sounds like something taken from a conspiracy film. But what if I told you that reality is even more frightening than any fiction? Gradually, almost without warning, a global system is being established, and many are already being marked, conditioned, and controlled without even realizing it. This is not an exaggeration or a vague theory. It is a reality unfolding before our eyes, as biblical prophecies that warned of these times seem to come to life. We live in a world where technology advances rapidly, offering convenience and ease that, at first glance, are irresistible. But what comes along with this convenience? A hidden price which few are willing to see, the surrender of personal freedom, privacy, and even autonomy. What about all the new forms of control that emerge disguised as progress? Digital identities, microchips, and surveillance systems are just the beginning of something much bigger. The prophecy of the mark of the beast no longer seems so distant, does it? The scariest part is that most people do not even realize that they are already being prepared to accept this as a natural part of life. Little by little, choices are becoming limited, freedom is fading, all in the name of an illusory comfort. Are we really ready to face this new order that is settling in? Can we recognize the signs that global control is already being implemented, piece by piece, while we are distracted by the promises of an easier and safer world? Be attentive, because all of this is just the beginning. What once seemed like a distant prediction is now becoming a very real scenario. And those who are not prepared to recognize the signs may end up being swept away by this current that seems impossible to stop. But there is still time to open your eyes and see what is happening. Do you want to know how? Stay with me, and together we will uncover the layers of this hidden system that has already begun to mark people, even without them realizing it. Biblical prophecies warned centuries ago about the arrival of a sign that would be imposed on humanity, known as the mark of the beast. For many, this concept seemed symbolic and distant, but as technology advanced, it became increasingly plausible and concrete. With the emergence of microchips, digital identities, and surveillance systems that extend across the globe, the idea of total control over people is no longer a mere speculation. The mark of the beast has shifted from being a metaphor to an immintum, awakens unease in those who observe. It is not just a religious issue, but a debate that involves individual freedom and the right to decide over one's own life. Imagine living in a world where all your actions are monitored and every movement recorded, where you can only buy, sell, or access basic services if you are linked to a system that tracks everything you do. For many, this is the harbinger of what the prophecies called the mark of the beast. This concept, which once seemed incomprehensible, now presents itself in the form of technological advancements that offer convenience in exchange for absolute control, a dangerous bargain that can cost autonomy and freedom. The signs of this new order are already everywhere. In some countries, like Sweden, people have implanted microchips under their skin to conduct financial transactions, access public transport, and even open doors. In other nations, digital identities are promoted as practical and safe solutions designed to facilitate modern life. But is this ease not concealing an attempt to implant totalitarian control, infiltrating society little by little until it becomes indispensable? What is presented today as technological innovation may be the seed of a system that conditions and imprisons everyone, without them realizing it. It is important to think about where we are heading with these advances. Technology undoubtedly has the potential to transform our lives for the better, but it all depends on who controls it and for what purposes. Imagine a scenario where, without this mark, you cannot even buy food or access essential services. A world where, to be accepted into the system, it is necessary to give up your privacy and freedom. This is not just an exaggerated fear. It is a possibility being discussed behind the scenes of major corporations and governments, who increasingly seek ways to concentrate power in their hands. The mark of the beast then becomes a symbol, not just of literal control, but of the subjugation of all humanity to a system that promises convenience but delivers oppression. And who is really behind it? Secularism, which was once just a way of life, now asserts itself as a global norm, shaping the behavior of entire societies. In the name of apparent neutrality, traditions and values that have sustained cultures for centuries are slowly being removed from public space. Every day we observe a growing disconnection from spiritual roots while promoting a worldview that excludes faith from daily life. But along with this rise of secularism, there is also an increasingly rigid social control, where almost everything we do is monitored, regulated, and eventually manipulated. The impact of this secular mentality goes far beyond culture. It permeates politics, the economy, and even daily life. A modern secularism not only excludes religion but tries to replace it, offering a new type of morality that changes according to the conveniences of the moment. For some, this may seem like a sign of progress, a more rational and tolerant society. However, it is necessary to question, are we truly evolving, or are we gradually being indoctrinated to accept a new form of control? So the reality is that this movement attempts to standardize behavior and ideas, and anyone who deviates from this new norm is seen as a threat, something to be corrected. The signs of this control are everywhere. An explicit example is the social credit system in China, which monitors citizens' behavior, rewarding or punishing according to their actions. In the West, surveillance takes on more subtle forms, such as constant monitoring on social media and the collection of personal data by large corporations. Make no mistake, all of this is presented as measures for our security and convenience, but it serves as a net that captures and defines who we are and how we should act. Those who control these systems have the power to shape mass perception, rewarding those who conform and excluding those who dare to think differently. As this system of social control expands, personal freedom shrinks, and this growing surveillance goes hand in hand with the decline of faith in people's lives. The less room there is for spirituality, the easier it is to guide, influence, and eventually control the masses. When everything is relative and morality adapts to what is convenient, it opens the way for manipulations that mask reality. Secularism, therefore, is not just a lifestyle choice but a strategy to weaken individual autonomy, imposing a new order where faith has no place. So what will become of the world when everyone accepts, without questioning, this new form of control disguised as progress? Biblical prophecies are ancient warnings that seem to echo more strongly today. Written thousands of years ago, they warn of times of tribulation, deception, and control that would precede a period of spiritual darkness. Among the most striking warnings is the arrival of a system that would restrict people's freedom, forcing them to accept something that goes against their faith, under penalty of being excluded from society. The scriptures speak of the mark of the beast as a symbol of this absolute control, something that, for many, is already beginning to take shape in the modern world with the introduction of technologies that promise convenience but hide sinister intentions. These warnings are not just vague predictions, they were written with details that today seem to precisely describe some of the current events. From the emergence of systems that monitor our movements to the growing pressure for people to conform to a new global order, the prophecies speak of a time when deception would be widespread. It is not just about deceiving people about what is right or wrong, but about completely distorting reality, creating an illusion where the truth is replaced by a carefully constructed narrative. That is why many look to these scriptures and find answers for what they see happening in the world. And what about the signs that are already in plain sight? In various parts of the world, there is growing intolerance against those who firmly hold their religious convictions. At the same time, control systems emerge that, in the name of security and progress, demand more and more data, more conformity, more acceptance. If these warnings are real, and for many they are, then we are witnessing the beginning of a scenario where every decision, every personal choice will be monitored and conditioned. The biblical prophecies, therefore, are not just ancient stories. They are guides for those who seek to understand what is to come and, above all, to prepare to resist. The Bible not only warns about what is to happen but also offers guidance on how to face these difficult times. Amid so much uncertainty, it calls on people to stand firm, not to give in to the pressures of a system that tries, in every way, to erase faith and freedom of choice. If today the struggle seems just a matter of principles, tomorrow it may become a matter of survival. The true battle will not only be physical but spiritual, and those who are attentive to the signs and prepared to resist will have a strength that no system can shake. And thus, the call is opened to all who wish to remain faithful. Amid all the chaos and uncertainty unfolding around the world, the call to remain faithful has never been more urgent. The biblical prophecies not only foresee a time of tribulation but also point to the need for spiritual resistance. Faith is described as an anchor that holds firm for those who believe, even when the waters get rough. And in the face of the growing pressure to conform to a system that seems to be drawing a future of control and oppression, This call becomes a daily challenge for those who choose to keep their faith and freedom intact. Remaining faithful, however, is not a passive act. It is an active and courageous choice that involves standing against a sea of influences that try to dilute principles and beliefs. It is not easy, especially when the pressures come from all sides, from the media, the government, even friends and family who may not understand this choice. But it is precisely in these moments that the strength of faith is revealed. It is not just about resisting for the sake of resisting, but about remaining connected to something greater, which transcends any human system. Just as a tree that, during a storm, drives its roots even deeper, faith is what allows. For those seeking to remain faithful, the answer lies in the small daily gestures, in prayer, in reading the scriptures, in strengthening the community, and in practicing values that, for many, have already fallen out of use. These actions create the spiritual resistance necessary not to succumb to external pressures. Imagine, for example, the strength of a group of people who, even in the midst of difficulties, find time to support each other and renew their hopes. So it is this spirit of unity and perseverance that prevents despair from gaining ground. And this is one of the greatest weapons against any attempt at control. True faithfulness is not only measured in great acts, but in the ability to remain steadfast when no one else is watching. It is perseverance that transcends circumstances and refuses to be erased by fear. It is not a matter of stubbornness, but of integrity. The call to remain faithful is ultimately an invitation to choose truth over convenience, to place values above temporary advantages. And it is this faithfulness that one day will show the way beyond the shadows that are drawn on the horizon. Because no matter how much it seems that night is approaching, there will always be a light guiding those who do not give up on believing. The implementation of a global control system is becoming a reality, and the warnings that once seemed distant now take on an urgent and concrete sense. The question that remains is, what will you do with this knowledge? Ignore it and continue as if nothing is happening? Or use this information to prepare yourself, strengthen your faith, and resist the pressure that grows every day? The choice is yours, but know that the time to act is now. Remaining faithful, even when the whole world seems to be going in another direction, requires courage. But it is not impossible. Small daily actions, such as seeking spiritual strength, supporting those who share your vision, and being informed about what is really happening, are ways to protect yourself against a system that presents itself as harmless but hides intentions of control. If you feel you need to take action, this is the time to start making a difference so that you do not become just another piece of a system that tries to control and silence those who do not adapt. So, are you prepared to see what many still cannot? Change begins in how you choose to live and act from now on. Are you willing to question, resist, and remain faithful to your principles, even if it means going against the tide? True freedom does not come without challenges, but it is what allows you to live without being just a cog in a system that is being installed without you realizing it. If this content resonated with you and awakened a new perception about what is happening around us, I invite you to take the next step. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so that you do not miss any of the upcoming content we will share. Each video, each message is an opportunity to learn more, prepare better, and open your eyes to realities that many still do not see. By subscribing, you will be joining a community that seeks knowledge, truth, and strength to resist the challenges of this world. Do not let crucial information go unnoticed. Stay ahead, and together we will continue to explore and unravel these mysteries. This way, you continue to follow the next content and always stay one step ahead, understanding more about how to protect yourself from this system that has already begun to act. Together, we can open the eyes of more people and create a network of knowledge and resistance. After all, only those who are informed can resist. Do not forget to download our book, The Secret Behind Biblical Prophecies. We have already sold over 500,000 copies, and we are in the last units, so do not waste time and take advantage of it. I guarantee that you will acquire a lot of knowledge after reading this sensational book, made with much care and love for all our channel subscribers, fully based on the Holy Bible. The link is in the first pinned comment.